YouTube, Dawson Ryder here. Welcome to my review for Power Rangers Dino Fury episode 20. So this is effectively the penultimate episode of season 1 because tomorrow's episode / today's episode in France, if you live in the France timeline, is the finale, and then we do have the Christmas episode, which will probably have a little bit of epilogue-y stuff, but this is kind of the penultimate episode and the finale for the main story for the most part, if we follow the way it's been going the past few years. So I thought this was a really strong episode. I thought this was one of the strongest episodes of the season. Honestly, the only part I didn't like was the stupid mucus dance, but at least it wasn't It's Great to Be Human, which is the worst thing to ever happen to media and entertainment in the history of time. So this episode, it starts with Ion having a bad dream, kind of a flashback to the final battle with his team back in the day. And they're honestly my favorite Rangers of all time. The original 4 RAFCON Knights with their royalty-free voice acting sounds. They're just my favorite. But we get a flashback of what we already saw a little bit of, which is the final battle. And he wakes up and Zeto's getting his warm RAFCON milk. And they kind of have a talk about, like, do you ever think about that? And he's like, yeah, I have dreams about it all the time. You know, it's like, do you think we could have done better? I thought it was a nice scene, and also just nice little touch. I like that they both have their antennas up because they're comfortable and at home and they don't have to worry about hiding it. So I don't know, I just thought that was a nice little touch. Nice scene between them. There is a little bit of a convenience to the fact that they're worrying about their old teammates and then that comes up to be like an important point later again. I feel like there's been too many coincidences in the last few episodes, but that's just being nitpicky, to be honest. But basically, then the next day they are digging up the keys that we found from last episode, and they're the Shine and Shadow Raptors from, I almost said Kyryuger. Too many Dino series, guys. Too many Dino series. From Resurrecting, and they talk about their powers and how they work individually and how they can work together to open portals. And then they use the keys to find the Zords attached to them, and they find out they're on another planet. And their explanation is that basically maybe when the fight happened, they got jettisoned into orbit and just drifted into space somewhere. I mean, there's been worse explanations. I feel like since they talked about the opening portals thing, that maybe that could have happened. That would have, not that this isn't believable, I just thought, they just mentioned portals, like what if somehow the Raptors activated the portal power during the battle and then they got blown through a portal, especially since they visited through a portal. Again, nitpicky stuff, but this was just stuff I was thinking about. But basically they discover the Raptors are on a different planet, they open a portal there, Zeto goes there instantly, and he's instantly scanned, which should have been his first clue that this is a mirage or whatever, but he's scanned, and then all of a sudden his original 4 teammates appear before him and start attacking them. They're like, you have a real voice and we're just royalty-free! And then as soon as the Rangers try to go help him, the portal closes, and they're trying to figure out how to get back to it. And meanwhile, Ollie's mom is there with her unnecessary hat. And for some reason, now this is one thing that bothered me more than something else that bothered other people. That was really unnecessarily vague. But last week, I always say that. Yesterday's episode, some people were bothered by the keys being right above them and they didn't know it. That didn't bother me so much because it obviously had gone somewhere else and been dug up there or buried there. But what bothered me is that it's Ollie's mom that discovers that the stones above their base are resonant with the morphing grid. I feel like they would have known that since the Morphing Masters, I think, made their base, and that was made so long ago. Like, I don't know. I think the whole point of it was so we can get an explainer so Void Knight could overhear it. But that bothered me just because I feel like I thought they would have known that. But she finds out that their stones and that whole thing is resonant with the morphing grid, and we get to see the morphing grid up above, which looks like their morphing sequence stuff. And Void Knight overhears it. And so he goes back to the base, and he's like, finally, my love, we'll be together. I'll just use the power of the morphing grid. To hell with the Sporix. I have thoughts about that at the end, but basically Void Knight is going to try to steal the power of the grid to revive his wife or his girlfriend or whatever she is, instead of going after the Sporix beast for energy. And he uses the Reaper monster that resurrected Zed to resurrect Boom Tower, which, you know, I thought might happen just because we saw him in one of the mini-trailers, and I think when the mini-trailer came out, someone reminded me that Boom Tower's counterpart did come back briefly in Resurrecting, Tank Joe. So, since the Reaper monster is also still around, from the spoilers I didn't see that he's going to be killed off, I'm going to assume they might use him next season to bring back Wreckmate, since it seems weird they would only have him be a Monster of the Week since there's quite a bit of footage with him to use. But it doesn't really matter either way. Bottom line is, Boom Tower's back, and he's fighting the other 4 Rangers while Ion is able to open the portal after he harnesses the energy from the statues, and he joins Zeto in fighting the other 4 Rangers, and they eventually realize that they're effectively a test. And they kind of flash back to their time with them, and they say their old motto of, like, for light and life. That's the High Republic Jedi, but whatever their motto was, something about honor and pride. And they they pass the test, and this, like, I am the giant ball being that lives here, and I test people with mirages because I'm bored. You have passed the tests. And so now that they pass the tests, Ion stays there to get the Zords back, while Zeto goes back to help the other Rangers, but then Ion gets the Shine and Shadow Raptors, and he comes back, he uses the Shadow version of the armor, which is cool, and then when Boom Tower grows up, he goes off to college. No, when Broom Tower goes up, he starts sweeping. When Boom Tower grows up, whatever, they use the Shadow Raptor to make the Shadow Mosa Zord, and they have the Warrior formation, and they defeat him, but the victory is short-lived because Void Knight has stolen Ollie's mom's equipment, and they don't know what it's for, but we know what it's for. But like I said, this was a really strong episode. I really liked getting flashbacks to the other Rangers. I don't know if we're ever going to meet them, if they're going to cast them or anything like that, but I really liked getting to see that. I had hoped that, we already know that this didn't happen, but I was kind of hoping that we would get the male green Ryusoul suit, and then maybe a couple other gender-bent Rangers. Again, we knew that the genders were the same, but I thought it would have been cool to see, like, the past versions were different genders than the ones we had now. Not all of them, but I thought that would have been neat, and then they could have used those suits for last week's body swap episode. That's just, again, a small nitpick, but it was still cool to get flashbacks, and I thought it was a nice character moment for both Zeto and Ion, and it gave us a little more context to their team and their time together, which I just really liked. And I liked this sort of journey of having to earn these Zords, which was really cool. And I really liked the designs of them. I liked the designs of the armor. I thought it was just a really strong Zord debut for these, and it just added to the overall mythology. It was great progression for, like, the lore with the base having the morphing grid, and then Void Knight's plan going into next week, which I thought was just great stuff. And something I wanted to mention with Void Knight. Now, there is a very, very good chance that I've missed the reasoning for this, but something I've been thinking about the last couple weeks, I was like, why does Void Knight need to stage Sporic attacks? Why doesn't he just hunt down the Sporics himself and kill them and steal their power? Because that's what he's trying. He's not trying to conquer anything. Why wouldn't he just go around, find the Sporics, or if a Sporic's awakened, done kill its face, and take the powers and then use it to revive his wife? Why does he need to stage attacks? I mean, I feel like if he did that and then just went to the Rangers like, yo, my wife's in this tank, can we just help her out? That'd be fine. So I'm kind of curious about that. Because, I mean, obviously he needs to get the Rangers Sporics, and I don't think he would sit down and talk to them. So that's a reason he would attack the Rangers, but why is he doing monster attacks every week when he could just go become a Sporix assassin and get all of them for himself? And, like, at this point, I mean, I guess the wife could be evil. I was going to say, I'm not exactly against Void Knight. I'm like, oh my god, that monster's going to steal the morphing grid tech. I'm like, yeah, I was just trying to revive his wife. God, stop being so mean. The show's just about a group of millennials trying to stop a guy from saving his wife. It's really sad, honestly. But, I don't know, I'm kind of curious about that. Probably just the reason is because Power Rangers and there wouldn't be a plot. But I couldn't help but think about that. But regardless of my little mini weird rant about the logic of it, I thought this was a really strong episode, a strong penultimate episode, strong introduction for Zord episode, strong backstory episode. I would give it a 4 out of 5. I'm looking forward to actually getting to watch the finale myself and see what the Christmas special is about. But let me know what you guys thought of the episode in the comments. Until next time, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and climb the steps and ring that bell so you get notifications for my videos. Dawson Ryder, signing out.